And why is that? Tell me why. You're correct. Why?
Because black men are not doing what they
That is nonsense.
Well, that's like,
what's nonsense is what you're saying. What you're saying is true. Black women are more highly educated, make more money than black men. Why? Because black men are too busy having babies, mamas, drama all over the place. If they do get a job, the money is split between 3, 4, 5 different babies, mama to take care of the responsibility. Instead of you, Mr. Dr. Umar, instead of you encourage and uplift and train the black men to begin to work on themselves and develop themselves, you here encouraging them to go have polygamy, to go have multiple wives. Because why? They are too lazy and too weak mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually, emotionally to control and discipline themselves. So the solution to their weaknesses is to have polygamy, is to practice polygamy. In other words, you're telling the women they have no choice. Dr. Umar, sir, I'm embarrassed and ashamed to say, can you believe, are you okay? Instead of you encourage these men to work on themselves and better themselves so they can be better men, better husband, better father, better and productive citizen of society, you are encouraging them to go practice polygamy because they are too weak to control their emotions and their feelings, and they just jump into anything that has a pulse and wears a skirt. And you call yourself a doctor.
Situation where they're being lied to because they don't even want to be bold because it ain't enough to go around. When there's not.
Okay, but I'm saying. Okay, but in reality, I'm saying that women are going outside their race. Lord.
But that's not a solution for the black community, though. See,
you see? Now, the young lady said, because they cannot find good black men to marry, the black women, instead of sitting around waiting for black men to get their acts together and wake up and grow up and show up and mature mentally, emotionally, spiritually, these men are broken and damaged and wounded, and they need help. They need healing. So the solution is not polygamy, my friend. Instead of you telling these men how to work on themselves to become better men, you telling them to go have multiple women, multiple wives. They practice polygamy when they are struggling to take your 3, 4, 5 babies by 3, 4, 5 different women. Matter of fact, they're already practicing polygamy. The only difference is they're not married to those women, but most of them have multiple babies, mama. Drama. They are struggling to even pay the child support. Some of them behind 2, 3 months, 2, 3 years in child support. And here you're encouraging them to go and practice polygamy when you should be encouraging them to start working on themselves and say, what is it about you, sir? That because they will blame the women and say it's the women's the baby's mama's fault. Okay, then you need to work on, encourage the men to work on themselves and say, sir, what is it about you that you keep attracting these types of women? Saying it's the women's fault that you cannot get married and get a decent wife. You have babies mama all over the place. What is it? Because if you have 3, 4, 5 babies mama, those 3, 4, 5 babies mama have one thing in common. That is you, sir. You are the common denominator. You can't claim it's all their fault. Granted, it takes 2 to tango, but you have to search yourself. That if you have 3, 4, 5 babies mama, or 2 or 3 babies mama, and nothing work out, you got to search yourself and say, what is it within you that you keep attracting this kind of women? What is it within you that you don't know when somebody is good for you or not good for you? Stop encouraging these men to go and practice polygamy. Encourage them to work on them. You say you're a psychologist or a therapist. You should be encouraging the men to work on themselves and develop themselves. Black women now has come and worked on themselves. They have developed themselves, and they don't want to sit around and wait until they're 40, 50, and 60 because for black men to wake up and grow up and show up and mature, and they want to go outside the race. You say, no, that's not the solution. So the solution is not for black women to go outside the race, but the solution is for black men to settle for black women to settle for polygamy. So you see, the solution is always for black women to dim their light, to lower their standards, to lower their integrity, to lower their fine-tune their character down to the lowest common denominator, which is the lazy, weak-minded black men. And of course, I want to stand correct. Not all black men. So, but this man doesn't speak for all black men. But I wish the black men out there who are responsible, mature, and have wives and have been is faithful to their spouse, they should come and speak up, because this man is just talking nonsense as if he's the mouthpiece and the loudspeaker for black men across the globe.
Getting away from what we're talking about. Solutions for the black community. Okay. Getting with a snow puppy and making a baby, that's not a solution.
And the solution of you telling black women to settle to practice polygamy is not a solution either, sir. The women shouldn't go outside the race to marry. but they should settle and lower the standards to marry to be wife number 3 or 4 or 5. That is not a solution either, sir. Newsflash, it's not going to work. This polygamy has been a subject of discussion from inception, from the inception of humanity to now. Is it a common thing? No. Even in cultures, I'm from Africa. Even in parts of Africa, many polygamous marriages are breaking up. Many people don't care for it. You should interview some people who are grown up adults now in Africa and across the globe who grew up in polygamy. They will tell you they hate it. I know some of them personally. The young men, the young women, they refuse. You couldn't pay them any amount of money to get to for them themselves to start a polygamous marriage. They refuse because they know what it was like when they grew up in one. You should do proper research. Don't come and just talk with all your emotions and your sentiments. Because when emotion is high, intelligence is very low. And you call yourself a doctor, sir. Go and investigate. I know people personally from different places of Africa that will tell you, both men and women will tell you they hate polygamy because they grew up and they saw it. The jealousy, the hatred, the competition, they saw it and they hated it with a passion. And they made up their mind when they grew up, they will not practice that. And they are not practicing it. Here you come because you have this high sex drive that is insatiable and unquenchable. And you figure the only solution to that problem is women should lower their standards and get ready to be wife number 2 or 3. Newsflash, it's not going to happen. I tell you that right now. And I'm speaking as an African woman living in America. And I know many African sisters will not. You couldn't pay them enough. Unless they are really, really poor and impoverished and they have no choice, they must settle for it. But anybody will settle for anything if they are poor.
Listen, but...
Why